sometimes cycling can be a lonely sport. Not lonely in the sad sense, really, and there are huge communities built around cycling. But it's also one of the few sports you can play by yourself. So when the races are over, the sun's not yet up, or the weather's not ideal, the daily ritual of riding often boils down to just you, the bike, and your goal. Whether that's a physical destination, a personal milestone, or in the case of this video, both. How long is too long for a single-day, solitary ride? Zeb had an especially lofty personal cycling goal this year, to pedal 500 kilometers, or 300 miles, in one ride, from one coast of Japan across to the other, in a single day. Today, he would attempt that, going one pedal stroke at a time, from our home on the Sea of Japan across to the Pacific Ocean. He would be self-supported during the ride, but I was driving down to meet him at the finish line. We decided to kick off his adventure on the Sea of Japan, at Uchinata Beach, after Zeb finished work. There's Zeb, and that's where he works. This was the day before he would start his ride. We wanted to have an early picnic dinner and start this trip properly, with a view of one ocean before we saw the other. Zeb had been planning his ride for months and had everything set, down to the exact convenience stores he would stop at. The only thing he had left to do was ride his bike. It was a simple enough plan, just wake up, ride, and don't stop till you reach the ocean. To have enough time to finish in one ride, Zeb was starting in the middle of the night, just before 1 a.m. The plan was to get as much distance in as possible, before the sun started heating things up and the traffic started getting busy.
Alright. Bye.
Bye.
See you later.
Okay, be careful. Have fun. It's 12:45 in the morning, at night, I don't know, almost 1 a.m. And Zeb just started his ride, so I'm excited for him. A little bit nervous because he has to ride so much in the dark, but I'm gonna go back to bed, wake up at 5, and then start driving down to the other side of the coast. I thought that the first few hours in complete darkness would be the hardest, but Zeb said that this was actually his favorite time of the whole ride. There was all the anticipation and excitement that comes at the beginning of an adventure, and very few cars were out, though there were plenty of gnats to keep him company.
So it looks beautiful. The sun's coming up, but I'm riding through one endless swarm of gnats. It's truly disgusting.
He was able to run his headlight at a pretty dim 300 lumens since his eyes got adjusted to the low light, and rode that way in the dark for 3 quiet hours. In the summer, the sun rises very early in Japan, before 4:30 in the morning, so by the time Zeb reached Fukui Prefecture, he was already able to see beyond his narrow headlight path.
So I'm not really anywhere scenic, but I needed to put some sunscreen on, and I'm at my first stop of the ride. Yeah, so I grabbed some water here and just put my drink mix in there. So I'll be good for another 130 kilometers. My next stop is at 260. The sun just came up about an hour ago. So the beginning of this ride went, I think, better than I expected. I thought that I was going to be going a lot slower in the dark, but I was able to keep my speed up. It's 5:46 right now. I thought I would be here at 6 a.m. Yeah, I'm already done. I got my water and my sunscreen on, and I'm about to start rolling. So yeah, about 10 minutes ahead of schedule. So that's great.
Alright, so it's 5:30 in the morning and I'm gonna get on the road so I can go down and meet Zeb. I did see on my phone that he's already in Fukui and Echizen, and so that's pretty exciting. Actually, there he is. See his little dot on the map. So it's about a 6.5 hour drive, but aren't you glad that we're not on the bike for 18 hours today? So you can come with me in the car. Let's go meet Zeb. The climb on National Road 365 to the border between Fukui and Shiga prefectures was Zeb's favorite. He said it had recently been reopened after being closed for multiple years, likely because of landslide damage. At the top of the climb, 550 meters up, the temperature was a comfortable 16 degrees Celsius, 60 degrees Fahrenheit, but it wouldn't stay that way for long. Around 6:30 in the morning, after 170 kilometers of riding, Zeb says he was rudely tossed out of the waning spirit realm of night and back into the profoundly boring world of humanity. Unfortunately, the following 150 kilometers were at best unmemorable, and at worst slightly dangerous. His route seemed to follow the same roads the truckers use to avoid toll roads, so he was frequently passed very close and fast by large trucks, and even honked at, which has been rare for us on rides in Japan.
Did another crouching update in front of the GoPro. Stop number 2, slightly ahead of schedule, and I'm eating a bunch of rice balls. Then I got deep fried tofu and carrot. I also just have salted rice ball. And then this thing I'm really excited about. You can smell the banana through the bag. So right now it's 10:37, and I thought I would be rolling in here at 11. So doing good on time. I'm like 260 kilometers in, and I don't feel like I'm gonna die. So it's a huge pro. So honestly, the last like 100 kilometers was not super enjoyable. I'm hoping that's gonna calm down now that it's not like morning anymore. Well, it's still morning. So the heat is definitely starting to play a role. I'm crouched in the shade over here in front of this 7-Eleven. The lady in this convenience store gave me 2 oshibori, like the little towels. And that's never happened to me before. I think when I went in there, I think she was like, dang, this guy is disgusting. It's not gonna help me. So like the second quarter of this ride was pretty busy with traffic. So I'm really hoping this next bit won't be bad, but we're gonna go find out.
Zeb rode near Lake Biwa, jumping briefly from Shiga Prefecture into Gifu Prefecture for a short stretch of Road 365. Not long after entering Mie Prefecture, though, he rode through the historic post town of Sekijuku, an old stop on the Tokaido Road. During the Edo period, there were 5 routes that linked the capital of what is now Tokyo to the surrounding provinces. These were called Go-Kaido, or the Five Highways. We previously rode bikes on part of the Nakasendo, one of the 5 routes, but another of these is the Tokaido, which also linked present-day Tokyo to Kyoto, just through a more coastal route along the Pacific. Sekijuku was the 47th of 53 stations, or designated postal towns, along the Tokaido, and much of the historical feel of the town has been preserved. This town is part of present-day Kameyama, in the north of Mie Prefecture, which is part of the former Ise province. There are still about 200 buildings from the Edo to the Meiji periods, protected along an almost 2-kilometer preservation district. After a trip back in time to historic Japan, Zeb was once again returned to the reality of a hot, humid summer day in central Japan. The hydrangeas were in full bloom since it was mid-June, but Zeb probably wasn't noticing this too much at the moment. He said he started to struggle a bit around 320 kilometers, and had to quickly eat some extra calories to keep his muscles from running out of glycogen or cramping up. There was also a lot of construction and road traffic in this section, so he had to ride on the sidewalk area in a few places. While he made his way through Mie Prefecture, I was already close to the border of Wakayama. This part of Japan has a lot of citrus fruits, especially mikan and Wakayama. So I stopped to get some at a michi no eki, or a roadside station. Okay, so we have 2 hours left. We're in Mie Prefecture right now, almost in Wakayama. I stopped and got this huge bag, and it was 500 yen, and in Ishikawa has a lot of great things, but cheap fruit is not one of them. So the whole bag for 500, I couldn't not buy that. Originally in his plan, Zeb would stop at kilometer 374, but he passed a convenience store around kilometer 360 instead, and decided that an early break would be a good idea. Here's what Zeb was up to while I was buying bags of citrus.
Alright, we're at 350 kilometers, starting to come a little undone. So I had to get an ice cream, a red bean paste bun, and then I also bought, you can buy like these cups of ice. They're supposed to be for iced coffee, but I'm gonna keep mine in the back of my jersey. The heat is getting to me a little bit, and then also I've had a headwind for the past like 30 kilometers or so. We'll see how it goes.
Zeb said that thanks to the power of ice cream, caffeine, and the slightly cooling temperatures now that the sun was past its peak, he began to recover from nearly cracking. Soon he reached 400 kilometers, and with less than 100 to go, he felt sure for the first time that he would be able to finish. In Zeb's words, even if I had a full-on meltdown, I figured I could limp along for 100K and finish before midnight. Also around 400 kilometers was the last long climb of the ride, a 5-kilometer stretch with an average gradient of 6%. On the descent, Zeb was rewarded with his first views of the Pacific Ocean, around 14 hours after he last saw the Sea of Japan in Fukui Prefecture. He had a bit of tunnel vision at this point though, just wanting to focus on finishing the ride. It wasn't until kilometer 454, in the city of Shingu, that he finally crossed into Wakayama Prefecture, on the end of the Kii Peninsula. This was also the same time the sun was setting, close to 7 p.m. This part of the ride was on a route called the Pacific Cycling Road, which is established as a national cycling route, but unfortunately follows some of the busiest coastal roads for cars, too. There are some incredible roads to ride on in Wakayama, away from the coast, but despite the designation, the Pacific Cycling Route is not one of the ones we'd recommend. We had been in Shingu once before, in the video I made about gravel biking and camping in Wakayama, so it was kind of exciting to recognize roads from a fun previous trip. Zeb didn't record any more footage in Shingu during the last 50 kilometers, but it's just as well because the light only got dimmer as the day went on. Instead, I'll take over for a bit as we leave the rental house and meet Zeb at the finish line. We rented this little guest house on the outskirts of Kushimoto, the city at the southernmost point of Honshu. The man who owns the guest house keeps it in immaculate condition and lives right across the street, so he showed me around once I arrived. I'll share my footage from my ride that day and the next day's ride to the Nachi Taisha waterfall in another video, but for now it was time to finally meet Zeb. I got a bunch of food at the grocery store and drove about 20 minutes to the Cape Shionomisaki Tourist Tower parking lot. Okay, the lighting is really bad because I'm sitting in the parking lot at the southernmost point of Honshu, which is the main island in Japan, and apparently at 8 o'clock they turn off the parking lot lights. So yeah, I'm waiting for Zeb. He's only like 6 or 7 kilometers away, which probably feels like a lifetime after this day. But I bought a ton of food at the grocery store because I don't know what you're gonna eat after 300 miles. I guess anything in sight. So he's so close. There he is. Oh my gosh. You really did it.
I did it.
I'm so proud of you.
Thanks, pal.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it feels fine. I'm just really tired. I had one rough spot, but other than that.
Wow. Well, I have a lot of food for you, so.
That's good.
Right on the right side is the parking lot with the car.
I thought I saw it over there.
Yeah, I'm the only car.
Do we have normal water?
Yep.
Okay, that sounds really nice.
Okay, good.
Just plain water.
I got lots of water.
Nothing with sugar in it.
Yeah, I figured you probably would be kind of sugared out.
Yeah.
I was so relieved to see that Zeb reached his goal safely and was in pretty good spirits despite being, of course, very tired.
Look how dirty I am.
He reached the finish line around 8:30 p.m., almost 20 hours after leaving the house, and after 17 and a half moving hours on the bike. Wow, 20 hours. Wow, look at that. You burned 10,500 calories.
Yeah. Feel like it.
I bet. 505.5 kilometers later, he had really done it. It was a ridiculous goal, honestly, but so impressive, and very cool to see him reach an accomplishment like that after so much planning and training. The rest of the weekend was spent enjoying some well-deserved rest and lots of snacks. I asked Zeb if he thought that spending the day alone on the bike for that long felt lonely. But no, he said, it never really felt that way. Cycling can be a lot of things at different times. It's fun, painful, rewarding, solitary, communal. It can take you to places you've never been, both literally and metaphorically. But I think in any of these cases, cycling is always one thing: freedom. Freedom to get somewhere with your own strength, to see new places, to go somewhere without a car, to meet new people, and sometimes to go fast. It offers the freedom to set personal goals, and the freedom to reach them. I wonder where the bike will take us next.